Hello guys. So in a previous video we had seen how to use system configuration checker, and we had seen we have passed the 8 checks we have. Now with the installation, here we are not going really to install it, but through the installation we will discover what else we need to fix first before start the installation. So anyway, I want now to install a new SQL Server standard installation. And we need to go through all of these. Here you have 3 editions. You have Evaluation, Developer, and Express. Evaluation contains all the features for 180 days. Developer is similar to Evaluation. Developer also can help you with the development, and it is not for product environment. And finally you have the Express. Express has limited edition, but it is free. There is no expiry date. The only thing about it, it is limited in features, but it can be used also for product environment. So for us, we prefer to go with Evaluation, but keep in your mind, it is valid for 180 days. That's why my recommendation, once you decide to install the Evaluation copy, make sure to finish your training in 6 months. And you're supposed to be able to finish that. And once you install it, it is highly preferred, once we finish the installation, to make a new checkpoint for the entire network. So from there, if we want in the future, maybe after 1 year, to deploy now System Center Configuration Manager, I will revert back my machines to this point of time when I just installed the Evaluation copy, and then by this I have a fresh copy. When I deploy SCOM or SCCM at that time, I will have already 6 months. Why? Because I just revert back to the checkpoint which I made when I just installed the SQL Evaluation copy. And of course at that time you need to make sure your virtual machine doesn't synchronize the time with the real hoster. So it can use the old time, which is the current time, the one which we use it to install this SQL instance. These are kind of techniques, so by this you don't need to provide the product key, or if you want, you can just go with developer. Anyway, we will decide that in the next video for 100%. For now, we are not going to install, we just want to check what other things I need to go to fix before the installation. So that's why for now, choose Evaluation, no problem. And we need now to check all these tabs to see if there is anything else I need to check for it. So first here, you need to accept the license. This is in license terms. Next. Then now it's asking you for Microsoft Update. Use Microsoft Update to check for updates recommended. I already updated the system, so it's not going to make any difference. If I check this one now, currently this system is not connected to the internet, so that's why you might get an error in here. So it's better when you try to install the SQL Server. This is the first note you need to add. Let us write them here, make maybe a notepad. And in a notepad we can list everything we have. So I can check it before the installation with Notepad. So first we need access to internet for this update purpose. Then next, here it tells you now SQL Server could not search for update through the Windows Update Service, and we get the error. So that's why that is important to be fixed, which is the update. Then in next step, now the system install set of files. Those the initial files for installation. Here again we passed the 3 checks, and one of the checks doesn't work, which is the Windows Firewall. If I check the warning, it tells me Windows Firewall generated a warning. The Windows Firewall is enabled. Make sure the appropriate ports are open to enable remote access. Now the main 2 ports we need to open in a firewall, we'll check that also in more details, but in firewall I need to open 1433 and 1434. These are the main ports for the firewall of SQL plus 443. We will check them in more details once we finish this video. In next video I'll try to address all these problems. So now I know I have a problem, my SQL firewall need to be fixed. Next. Then now in feature selection, you need to determine exactly what to install. We'll talk about this one later. The main one you need to install definitely is the database engine services. Server application, I don't need it now. Machine learning, I don't need it. Full text and semantic extraction for search, this one I need it. And others currently I don't need to pick anything, but we will talk about them anyway once we decide to install it. Next. Then now in next step, the system now is asking me about, is it a default instance? For now it is a default instance. I will keep it as it is. This is the default name, or I will give it a name I want, and it shows you where that instance is going to be installed and the path for it. I can keep it for default by now. Next. The next step is about server configuration. Server configuration, as you see, for each one of the main 4 services, the system will assign an account name for that service and the startup type. Manual, you can just enable it when you want. Automatic is going to run by default. Disabled, it is in there, but it is not going to run. You need first to change the situation or the case of it to either manual or automatic, and then you can power it on. So here we have all of these, and also I have all these 4 accounts as you see. Those are the local accounts of the device. And those accounts, they will be used to manage those services. It is preferred to keep these accounts, and as you see, they are different. They are not the same. This is a recommendation of SQL, not to use the same account, all devices or all services. Now, as you see in this file, which I need to save it later to address all these problems. Also here, I just mentioned now the services to be installed, the account to be assigned to these services. The account are fine because they are not a domain user account. Domain user account, the problem of it is going maybe to create a problem with security because that account can be used to log into different devices. And the other problem is about the performance of the SQL, because if you assign a domain account to any service and then according to the policy, the default one, each 42 days you need to set a new password for the domain account. If no one reset the password, then the service is going to be disabled automatically and you won't be able to use the SQL server till you reset the password for the account attached to the SQL service. And that before used to create a problem because the admins might forget this is the issue and they might think the problem is with the SQL database itself. So currently we are not going to face any security problem or performance problem because we don't use anymore the domain account. But in the future you might need to upgrade these accounts to service account belong to the domain. We will see that anyway later, and we already before in the MCSA 2019 series we had learned how to create service account and how also to assign it. If you want, you can create and assign it in here, and the service account you don't even need to provide a password because the system is going to provide password for it, and also you don't need to manage the security or privilege of that account because the system again is going to manage the security privilege according to the need of the service where that account is attached to. So currently I can keep it like this. I have nothing else to add it in here. If you want also, you can check this box. With this checkbox, the idea is now because we want to install a new instance and we don't have any other instances, so we assume if we have previously any database, any instance, and we just delete the SQL server and we want to install a new one in here, if I want to keep access to the deleted databases and data, then I need to check this box. By this is not going to delete or avoiding what we call it zeroing of data pages. With that one, the technique is if there is any database, fill it with zeros, which means you are going to delete it completely and the data will not be in there, and then start to write on it again. And by this you will not be able to access to deleted instance of database. Otherwise, this is if you keep it like this, then in that case you will delete the instance totally, just fill it with zeros and start a new instance. You won't be able to access to deleted one. If you activate it, you will be able to access to deleted one. Here anyway, I don't have any previous databases or deleted one. So if I keep it clear or I check it, it's not going to make any difference at this stage. Access to next now. With the database engine confirmation, now in here you have two options. The first one is Windows Authentication Mode and the second one, which is Mixed Mode, SQL Server Authentication and Windows Authentication. If I decide to go with Windows Authentication Mode first, I can just add current user, who is the administrator, domain admin, the account which I use it to log into this device. If I check now if I can continue, as you see I will be able to continue. Otherwise, I can go back. Now if I click on install, I start the installation. I go to back and another back. And with this one, if I specify mixed mode, then in that case I need two accounts. One account is the domain account, and the second account I can use either a domain user or I can use even a local account if I want. This is a server. In server we have local account. The domain controller is the one who has no local accounts because they are being disabled for security feature to be improved. So you will use only domain account. With normal server, no, the local account is in there. So it's up to you. Either you will use now another Windows account. Let us check it. If I go to add account And here in advanced, if I go with find locally, so we have this administrator, which is built-in account, as you see, gcyber local users, or we can use even another domain account. For example, let us use this person, Jack Robinson, okay? And I need to provide now a password for him, because for Jack Robinson now is the one who's going to act as SQL admin. If I want to continue, see, I will get an error. I need to provide a password for him, and let us try this password, and then again, and continue. And as you see, it's working. And the password which I provided for Jack Robinson is not the same password for his account in our domain database. This is a different password. So keep that in mind. This is a password which Jack will use it just to access to a SQL database. Or if you want to use the same password for his account, also that's fine. But keep in your mind in the future, when Jack needs to reset his account, the password for his account, the password in here, either you will reset it also. So by this, he can use the same account for both Windows account and for the SA administration. Or you need to keep in your mind that this password is different all the time. And when he needs to access to SQL database, he needs to use this account, even if from time to time he used to reset the password of his account. So these are the methods you will have it for the password. We can continue now with the installation, but before that, I prefer for now not to continue. We need just to address these issues to make sure 100% we won't get any problem later. Once we install the SQL database, then we will do the installation. For data directories, temporary database, max DOP, memory, file stream, you can keep everything for default. Here we don't have anything essential that we need to address. So I will keep everything to default. Just fix what I have at number 1 and number 2. Then I will do the installation. Thanks for watching.